A listomania. Think less but see it grow.
Hello everybody, it is the Gnome and welcome to your August 2018 episode of 10 for 12. In case you're new to my channel, welcome. It is a pleasure to have you, and I'm very happy to always bring you guys a very special treat when it comes to 10 for 12s in the summer. I always like to have at least one of them dedicated to the wonderful world that is Disney, so I think some of you who have been watching my Out of the Vault episodes recognize this shirt. Yeah, it's been a while since I brought it out because of the new one, but I felt that for the rest of the year, before we officially start to alternate on Out of the Vault, we bring this one out to celebrate this wonderful Disney-themed 10 for 12 topic. Of course, I've got a whole bunch of people working with me, and there are way too many people to mention as always, but I'm gonna try. We have got Merina Rey, we've got Lauren from RandomReader, we've got Hannah from the Dyslexic Reader, and we've got Olivia from ReadByLiv, and I'm so excited that everybody is participating with me today and talking about Disney, and the theme is going to be our 10 favorite Disney main villains. Now, I told everybody that this is very much open. You can be as broad or as specific as you want, and I, for one, am going to stick to the Disney canon classics, because I've already done villain sidekicks, I've already done hero sidekicks, and doing main villains is definitely going to be a lot of fun. And I really wanted to make sure that I got this correct, because I really wanted to give you my 10 ultimate favorites. Some of them may not be the ones that you would expect, but they definitely are interesting picks. And some of the ones that you probably would like to see are probably not going to be here. But I am giving you guys my honest opinion, my favorite 10 Disney main villains from Disney canon classics. So let's begin. The first one is probably one that you would have never guessed. It is from one of the early package films of the Disney canon library, and that is the Headless Horseman from The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. He is not a predominant villain within the film, especially considering the fact that it is a short film combined with another one called Wind in the Willows. But he is the name that fills Ichabod Crane's heart with fear because of people in the little town of Sleepy Hollow telling them that there is a monster and he will kill you if you're not too careful. And when the Headless Horseman shows up, not only is it a beautiful piece of animation, but my goodness, is it ever terrifying. And it is one of the few movies that I love to constantly watch every single Halloween now that I have finally seen that film. Number 9 is actually a lead villain duo because they do work hand in hand, and they are Helga and Rourke from Atlantis: The Lost Empire.
You said we were in this together!
Not only are they the villains, but they are one of those silent villains that is just scheming and planning and doesn't even show off their true villainous side. You may look at them as interesting, you may look at them sometimes as menacing, or sometimes you would look at them as friendly. And when Milo is brought under their watchful eye in regards to finding the Lost Empire of Atlantis, that is when the true colors officially show, and you would be very surprised when you actually take a look at how these villains start out and where they in fact end when this movie's credits start to roll. Number 8 is one that you probably would have expected, and it is Scar from The Lion King.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
One of the most brilliant Disney classics of all time, and Scar, voiced by Jeremy Irons, is no exception. He brings in fear, he brings in comedy, he brings in evil delight, especially when he sides himself with his hyena minions. But especially throughout the story, you take a look at just how evil he truly is because he craves power so much. He will be willing to lie and cheat to get it. And that is pretty much why he is known as one of the greatest Disney villains of all time. Number 7 is Lady Tremaine from Cinderella.
Time for vicious practical jokes.
She is definitely one that screams pure evil. Rarely does she ever smile when it comes to being in Cinderella's favor. She despises Cinderella, she is jealous of Cinderella, and she just does not want this girl to have her true happy ending. And she may abuse, she may condescend, she may drive Cinderella into the darkest of holes, but my goodness, Cinderella is just so resilient. But it is amazing, especially when it comes to any film, when someone so good will clash with someone who is just that evil. Number 6 is probably one of the weakest villains, but definitely one of the most fun, and it is Prince John from Robin Hood. Besides Robin Hood being one of my all-time favorite Disney classics, Prince John, like Captain Hook and Yzma, he's just a bumbling moron. And because of the fact that he is such a big baby, he is still one of the most enjoyable to watch, because he is just a spoiled little brat, and he just likes to suck his thumb, and he's got a hilarious sidekick in Sir Hiss, who actually was on my 10 favorite Disney villain sidekick list, and it is very hard for me not to put each of them on my respective top 10, because they truly do go hand in hand. Number 5, if you want to talk about the epitome of evil in all of Disney classics, you cannot go darker than Maleficent.
A disgrace to the forces of evil.
Maleficent just scares you by her stare. When you look at her, you just get terrified. And when she laughs, you have nightmares. When you see just what she does throughout that entire film of Sleeping Beauty, for the sake of just making sure that Aurora never gets her happy ending, it is just absolutely dark, and especially for a family film, it is quite crazy to actually see a film with a villain that dark in animation. I remember when I was very young, and there was that one scene in Sleeping Beauty when you saw her green eyes in the fireplace, and it just gives you chills every time. There were points where I didn't even want to turn off the lights in my basement because I was just so terrified of that image. But that just shows you that's what makes a great Disney lead villain. Number 4 is probably one that you would not expect. I mean, when you take a look at villains that are completely off their rocker, you get the Red Queen from Alice in Wonderland, and of course you get Cruella de Vil from 101 Dalmatians. But there is one that's even crazier, and her name is Madame Medusa from The Rescuers.
What is your alibi this time, Nitwit?
This woman is not only the villain of this movie, but because of the realism in a movie like The Rescuers, even though there are talking mice, this is a woman that is shown as being truly awful as a human being. She abuses a little girl, she's willing to hit her, and kill others for the sake of getting what she wants. And we don't really see that often, especially when it comes to human interaction during the early years of Disney filmmaking. We do see that a little bit more these days, with villains like Clayton in Tarzan, and even villains like Rourke and Helga in Atlantis the Lost Empire, but we never saw someone as brutal until we saw Madame Medusa in the late 1970s thanks to that film. It is definitely one of the better films in terms of what I feel is great Disney classics, especially considering the fact that that was done by Don Bluth, and we all know where Don Bluth went in terms of his film career. Definitely Madame Medusa, one of the most sinister and darkest of Disney lead villains. Number 3, while he may not be off his rocker like Madame Medusa or Cruella de Vil, is definitely one of the darker villains in all of Disney canon classics, and that is Judge Claude Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Choose me or the fire.
He had evil intentions from the very beginning. He wants things to be a certain way, and he will go by any means to get it. When he discovers Quasimodo, Quasimodo believes that he is showing his kindness. But that just shows you how manipulative he is. Also, when it comes to him hunting down the gypsies and him trying to sway Phoebus to go his way, he doesn't show flat-out evil intentions, but he does it in the shadows, and he does it in secret, manipulative ways. And when it comes to true Disney villains, manipulation is definitely one of the worst things that a villain can actually have, and you see that a great deal with a lot of Disney villains. Number 2 is probably one of the most deliciously evil villains in all of Disney canon classics, and that is Ratigan from The Great Mouse Detective.
Very well. If that is your decision.
Voiced by the brilliant late Vincent Price, there is no Disney villain that makes you smile when you see just how evil he is. He must have been the inspiration for Mark Hamill's version of the Joker in Batman the Animated Series, especially considering the fact that Vincent Price did have his hand in the Batman lore as Egghead in the 1966 TV series. So it's kind of funny how in my world it all goes full circle, but the fact that he just tortures Basil, the great mouse detective, and how Basil just tries so hard to catch him, and how he always avoids him. These are two brilliant minds that are always going head to head, and Ratigan is just one of the most deliciously fun and evil characters in all of Disney, though at the very end he really does show those true colors of evil, and they may not be as fun as you remember them to be as you saw him earlier in the film. Definitely check out that movie if you haven't. He is just such a fun villain. And that gives us our number 1 Disney villain, Hades from Hercules. Hades is once again a manipulative character, but the thing that makes him so great is the voice of James Woods, and the fact that he comes off as a used car salesman more than he does a villain. As the god of the underworld, he is just so much fun to watch. He has such a great sense of sarcasm. That's why I think he is my favorite villain. It's the fact that he has such a dry and sarcastic sense of being within him, and he is just so funny as he is evil, and I just love his role in Hercules. It is also because of the fact that Hercules is one of the more fun Disney canon classics, and if you're going to have a fun Disney canon classic film, you've got to have an evil villain, but at the same time, one that has a little bit of a sense of humor. So that's it, everybody. My 10 favorite lead Disney villains. I hope that you agree with them. If there are some that you really feel that should have been on that list, please put them in the box below. I'd love to talk to you about that. But in the meantime, I want to thank all of my friends who participated in this collaboration with me. Thank you all. I'm looking forward to watching your videos, especially because they are blind boxes as always, and I will see you all in the next one. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.